inside your bedroom. We stopped counting the days, lost in the rhythm. Physical silence.
Well,
No need to speak.
y'all, and welcome to Black Girl Love, the podcast. I am your host, Kat Williams, and thank you once again for joining me for another episode. And if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into it. Now, as you know, on Black Girl Love, the podcast, we break everything down into 3 easily digestible bites. And the first bite for this week, as always, is black. And you're like, black. Every week I'm like, what could legitimately be determined is black focused, right? Or it's not really the color black, or is it? I don't know. But anyway, this week, there's been some hubbub discussion, if you will, about Walmart's closing in Chicago in particular, mainly because they're closing in primarily black neighborhoods. And so, you know, that drew my attention because I remember when Walmarts were sort of just regular stores, and then they grew and grew and grew. And it was interesting, you know, they popped up everywhere. They killed small businesses, mom and pop shops. We've hated them, and then we turned to loving them, and now we're back hating Walmart again, I think. It's like an ebb and flow of life, if you will, and this relationship that we have with Walmart, one that we want to have or not. And depending on where you live, it can be a little hard to make that decision. And in this case, from what I'm reading, these Walmarts are really, truly it when it comes to food and reasonable shopping in these certain neighborhoods. Now, I thought, why would they close only in black neighborhoods? And why is it such a discussion in Chicago? And why are there articles being written about the fact that Walmart is closing some stores? And then I looked at the numbers, because I think numbers are interesting. They really tell the tale and sort of take you out of your emotions. I mean, that's what numbers are for, I think. They're almost simplistic in nature because they're there. You can fudge them, but the reality is it's probably going to come back to the light. So, Walmart is closing 20 stores in 11 states, to include DC, and DC rather. And 4 of those stores are in Chicago. You're like, oh, 20 stores. Oh my God, what is going on with Walmart? Nothing. Nothing's going on with Walmart. Walmart has close to 48 stores in the U.S., depending on who you're talking to, 4,700, you know, stores, retail stores in the U.S. 20 is nothing. Let's be honest, it's nothing. It is something where they're closing them, and that's really the discussion. But before we get into that again, let's look at the global impact of Walmart as well. Walmart is a U.S. brand. It started in America. There are worldwide about 10,500 stores, Walmart stores, under different names, monikers, brands, but they're there. In Mexico, in the city that I live in, there's at least 5 under different names. Probably more than that if you count up all the different names, probably like 10. There's Walmart, and a couple other names. I'm not going to get into it. You if you ever come here, you'll see them. Anyway, it's Walmart though. And I find it fascinating that there are these articles about these 4 stores that are closing in Chicago. But then you get into what's going on in Chicago. Chicago has been in the news in America for the last several years, mainly because of the shootings, murders, drive-bys. The youth are lost in Chicago. And it's a shame. It really is. And it's not all segments of Chicago. Obviously, they're only closing 4 stores. But it is in certain neighborhoods. We are also living in a time of smash and grab, where youth or thieves, be they youthful or not, are going en masse to stores and taking as much as they can and running out. There's only so much that maybe a store can absorb before it's just not profitable. And that's really what it boils down to. Stores have to be profitable. Walmart has the energy to absorb losses, or maybe not the energy, that's the wrong word, has the money to absorb losses, because Walmart is the world's largest company by revenue. And that's saying a lot. And we're literally talking billions of dollars that Walmart has coming in every year. Billions. And you can do that, When you own that many stores and you have decimated the market in a country. Walmart has not succeeded in all countries, but it definitely has succeeded in the ones that it has entered and really pushed in. And a lot of those countries are not the wealthiest. Isn't that a surprise, right? You come in with cheap, inferior quality products, but you appeal to a market. And there's a market out there who has $5 to spend, and they're trying to get as much as they can for that $5, because they see more value in quantity than quality. And if you only got $5, I see that as well, right? $5 is only going to stretch so far. It's just that simple. If you need a shirt and you can get one for $2.50, you're probably going to get the $2.50 instead of saving up for the $15, because you don't know if you're going to have that $5 next week. If you save it, what's going to happen? It's going to take that $5. So now you still out of that $5, and you don't have a shirt. There's a market. So I'm not totally crapping on Walmart, but I am, because it's not only Walmart, it's us too. We as humans bought into Walmart. Like I said, I remember when Walmart first entered the market. Funny enough, the first store that I ever went to that had everything up under one roof was not a Walmart. It was another brand, Fred Meyer's. This is years ago in Alaska, and I thought that was a genius idea. And Walmart basically ran with the same concept. They just did it better than Fred Meyer's. And Fred Meyer's still exists, but they're not the brand, the name recognition that Walmart is, because Walmart came in like a wrecking ball. They went everywhere. And again, they absorbed losses. And they're going to absorb losses till they don't want to absorb losses anymore, when it's just not beneficial for them. They want their toe in a lot of markets. They do. They that's why they expanded as much as they have. And of course, why they're making billions every year. When I say billions, I'm talking about 500 billion in annual revenue. I'm not talking 1 billion or 2 billion. I'm talking about world domination. You get me? So now we're left with the other part of the discussion. Why those particular stores in Chicago? And I don't know. I mean, do we point the finger? Do we open our eyes and see that those stores are being robbed every day? Right? Is Walmart a charity, or is it a store? Is it a business? And how long will the public keep allowing either to exist? And when I say either, I mean the fact that we let this corporation come into our community and decimate the community by running out all the mom and pop stores, all the little corner stores that we were used to when we were kids, where you could go and buy some supplies. You may not be able to buy everything, but you can buy some things. When in my travels, I've seen great representation when it comes to mom and pop businesses, or if not mom and pops, at least the chains keep it small, right? So in Vietnam, there's like a corner store on every corner. I mean, legit, that's not even an exaggeration almost. And in those corner stores, though, you could technically grocery shop for the week, or at least for a couple of days. There's meat, veggies, fruit, juices, rice, sugar, there's cereal, noodles, everything. You could legit go to those stores. And then you could also go to a bigger grocery store that has everything, right? But there are no food droughts, deserts in those areas, because you don't have to have transportation to get to the necessary items that you need. And that's what Walmart has done. They have created an environment where they are the only thing running in the neighborhood, priced out everyone around them, And now they're saying we're leaving because we're tired of the people in that community robbing us when they've robbed us as well, right? When 20 years ago when they came to those locations and they robbed the mom and pops to the point where they had to shut down. Because a mom and pop business is not buying on the scale that a global brand that Walmart is buying on. Walmart is paying pennies for most of the items in their store. A mom and pop is not paying pennies because they're not buying in bulk. Or their bulk is 20 versus Walmart's bulk is 20 million because they're distributing it across all their stores. There's a difference there. So now we're stuck. What do we do next? The opportunity is for the mom and pops to come back. But the neighborhood's mentality has changed. Are they going to support the mom and pops? Or are they going to go in there and rob them now? Because the people in the community have changed. The youth, and I say that because I don't think everybody in these crowds that are robbing everybody are youthful. I think they're opportunistic. That's the word I'm looking for. So that is Black in the Black Girl Love podcast today. I don't know, y'all. Tell me what you think. What should we do as a community? Not as a country, a state, a city, but as a block by block community. What should we do now? And we are back for the second portion of Black Girl Love, the podcast. And this portion, of course, is titled Girl, but like, what can we talk about that's woman-related, I guess. But TikTok never fails me. Never. When I tell you, never, ever, 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 ever. And if you know, you know. So this week, there's been a discussion about this British TikToker who went to a grocery store and wanted to pay for people's groceries. You know, you've seen those videos. Those, where people walk up, swipe, or hand cash, or, and people cry, and they're so thankful that, oh, you're such a great human. Even filming it, you're such a great human. So this TikToker, who I'm not going to put the TikTok out, because, I'm not going to give her any more views. You can go look her up. You can Google it if you want to. Nobody wanted her to buy them groceries. She went to a Sainsbury store in London, and either they didn't like her, they didn't like the idea, or, the store might have been, the area that she went to. People maybe not been struggling as much on that particular day and didn't need anyone to purchase their groceries. Either way, they didn't want it on film. And she was legit crying and upset about it because no one wanted her charity. It's so symbolic, right? Of life, of humans today. And it's like one of the genres, and I call it a genre because it's the only way you can describe it, of people filming people as they're being nice to them, bringing them a meal, giving them cash, giving them a drink, paying for their groceries, paying for their rent, buying them a car, setting up a GoFundMe. I do a lot of things that for other people, there's no reason to film it, though. I really don't understand that. I've never gotten it. It doesn't fill me up with joy when I see it, as much as I'm sure it fills some people up. Maybe because I don't need that validation. Or I don't want to embarrass the other person. Because the way media works today, social media, something that's filmed 10 years ago will always be there. And for the rest of this person's life, that video will follow them. If you Google that person's name, that video of you buying them groceries at one of the low points in their lives will always be there. And I don't want that. I don't want it for myself, and I don't want it for anybody else. And again, I don't need that validation. And I say that's the only reason why I would think you would need that. I mean, outside of the fact that you're a content creator, And you're doing it for views, because the little $200 you spend on buying that person's groceries, if it was even that much, right? You're going to get that back. And view counts. And hopefully sponsorship deals. And love and praises and comments. And, all that crap. So it's not like it's... you're not gaining something from giving out that little output in the beginning, right? But it's also interesting that she chose that particular store. Why not go to one of the poor sections and purchase groceries there? Or just meet them at the door and say, hey, you're going in to buy groceries. It's the first of the month. Here's some extra. And just give them cash without filming it, without waiting at the register like a stalker. You know what I'm saying? Weird vibes. But I think humans, we film everything and want to put it on the internet for views, because we love validation. We love the euphoria, the rush that we get from a comment, a like, a love, an emoji, right? Because that is our third space now. There's a few TikTokers out there and Instagram people and YouTubers who do this. Someone mentioned Mr. Beast in relation to this. I don't see Mr. Beast as the same. I don't. And I don't watch a lot of Mr. Beast content. But what I do watch, it doesn't correlate to this as much to me. There's another TikToker, YouTuber who goes around. He has this really soft, annoying voice where he's like, hey, I don't have anything to eat. And could you just give me $2? And I really thank you. Or could you buy me a bus ticket? Or could you just give me a sandwich? Or could you open up your shop early? I'm so hungry, but I don't have any money. And the people are like, yeah, and it's always people of color. Always. Because that's the target audience, right? Because he's white. And everybody, 90% of his content is people of color. And when I say people of color, I'm not talking about just all black people. There's brown, Asian, everything, right? And there he is with his little voice. It's so annoying. There's not too many people in this world I dislike. Because it's not, disliking something or someone isn't. It's a waste of energy. But he is one of them. Yes, he is. Because it's so obvious. It's so pandering. And, people just, you're such a great person. And the people are donating so that this man can do this. And so what he does is, after you say, yes, I'll give you a sandwich, then he gives you, $500 or $1,000 or something like that. And there's been some other people, don't get me wrong. I said 90% of his content is people of color, but there are other white people that he gives to, and they're always, always poor. So he has a target demographic, right? And he knows exactly where to go to get that target demographic. He was in Mexico for a while. He was always, he'd do these videos where he'd say, let's see if we can get someone to go skydiving with me today, or something like that. So he goes up to white people and they're like, hell no, right? And he's in Mexico, right? He's in the tourist area. And they're like, no, bruh. So then he walks up to the local population who walk around doing their job that day, or just walking around. He's like, hey, you want to go skydiving with me? My treat, dude. And they look around and they like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Oh. And then, one of them eventually agrees. Not the first one, maybe not the second one, but one of them eventually agrees. But it's never anybody white. It's always someone local who makes maybe, a couple thousand pesos a month, right? So they really truly can't afford a skydiving experience that's priced at $150. Because that's really maybe what they make for either that 2-week period or for a month. I don't know. It depends on the job. You get what I'm saying? So for you to say that or to do that, it's a little crappy, right? But okay, they do it. And that's, how I look upon her as well. You pandering, and then you're mad because no one wants to join you in your pandering, right? No one wants to kiss your ass and say, thank you for buying my groceries. You benevolent person, you. Whew. I tell you, colonizing little baby steps. And this is how we get to where we're at, right? Because in the communities abroad, people help each other, right? And even in communities in America, they help each other. People in small communities where they haven't been infiltrated, they still help each other. Yeah, there are people starving every day. But there's also people who are making billions every day. And we've already talked about a corporation who makes over $500 billion annually. And those numbers aren't even realistic. Let's get it. Honest, $500 billion, and they're starving people in the world. How or why? Walmart could open up a distribution center in every city in America and feed people every day. And this young lady could go to a place where people actually need someone to purchase their groceries and purchase groceries without filming it. And you can too. Be nice to your neighbors. Be nice to your community. We've seen what not being nice in the community does. It gets the only store in your community shut down because you allowed this corporation to come in and shut down your mom and pop stores. Hey, it's a circle, y'all. You get it? I do. Mufasa and all, baby. Mufasa and all. And we are back for the third and final bite in Black Girl Love, the podcast. And I, of course, I'm your host, Kat Williams. And this segment is going to be about things that I love this week. And I try, this actually was the easiest part of this week's segment to talk about. And that is retreats. Yep, retreats. And then you're like, oh, what is that? So if you didn't know, I started a retreat that was centered on Black women, LGBTQ, mainly lesbian, bi. And that retreat lasted for 10 years, and it was called Shades Retreat. It was a huge part of my life. It was a yearly retreat in April. I started because I wanted to attend another retreat that I could not go to, and I was like, so why can't I do one myself? With no retreat experience, having never attended a retreat, I built a retreat that met what I was looking for at that time, right? And we did that for 10 years. I've had some great assistants along the years, great people who've attended. I made some beautiful friendships, grew myself. I think if it wasn't for Shades, I don't know where I would be. And that's not an exaggeration. I found myself the Shades. I allowed myself room. I gave myself grace, and those who attended. I'm not going to say it wasn't bumps and bruises along the way. And every year I learned something more about myself, about Shades, about the people who were attending. Every year I gave a little something different. I did cook for all of my retreats. It was a lot of work. All the shopping, setting up, website. Basically, yeah, behind the scenes, I was that person, getting everything together. I had presenters who willingly came every year to share of themselves, and we grew. And it was a beautiful experience. When I left the U.S. many, many years ago now, because I keep forgetting how long ago that was. It was the last year for Shades, because I left and I wanted to, take what I learned and grow with it, right? In new soil. And I also said that I would take Shades with me, and that we would do one on foreign soil. And, we all know what happened there. COVID came and killed that. So I was like, maybe it was a sign that it just wasn't meant to be, that I bring it back in a different form, because it would definitely be different, because the Shades that was in the U.S. was a budget retreat, and that's just being honest. I kept it at a cap, at a point, for a reason. I wanted women to come who needed it, who were struggling financially, mentally, emotionally, all those things. And I didn't want to price anybody out. And it was not for everybody. I'll be the first to admit that. We were in the woods of Georgia, almost like summer camp. Bunk beds, shared showers, bathrooms, latrines. You know, if you're in the military, you know what I'm saying. I was fine with it. And everybody who attended every year was fine with it as well. We had people who came every year. I think there were at least one or two, if not more, people who were there for at least 3 to 5 of the 10 years. So we would come every other year. And I've had presenters who have been with me almost from the first year, and they came every year without fail. Bumped head with a few people. I've learned a lot. It was a beautiful experience, and I'm looking forward to bringing it back, because that's right, y'all. Shades is coming back. 2024, we will be on someone's soil, planting and growing again. It will be coming in the next few months where exactly it's going to be, because I'm still debating a little bit. I think where it's going to be, right? Because when I mention something, when I put it out in the air, honey, I've already worked on it. But, I'm human. And so I'm like, are you sure? And I'm weighing all options. And I know when I bring it back this time, it will not be in the month that it was before. So for those who are like, oh no, it will not be in April anymore. Just because it just doesn't work for me right now. And at the core of Shades is me. And so I have to make it work for me as well. I also am thinking about my educators. And also the fact that it will not be in the U.S. So you got to factor in flights and travel time. So it won't be too far. And it's probably not where you think it's going to be. So don't get excited. Don't start trying to pre-plan. When I announce it, be ready to buy. Nor will it be as cheap or inexpensive, that's a better word, as the other original Shades retreat. It's just not possible. I don't think I could do Shades again at the price point that I did it years ago. And it was under $400 for a 3-day retreat. It's just not possible anymore. And I'm not going to break my back to make it possible. But I will also, hopefully, be attending Blue Retreat this year. And that's Black Lesbians United. They are coming back as well. September 1st through 4th in California. That was the retreat that I wanted to attend, and I couldn't attend that year. So I started my own the next year. There were various reasons. Money being the main one, because the retreat was in California and I was in Florida, I believe. And I think maybe I had switched jobs. Money was tight. I mean, mind you, this was years ago, because I think my first retreat was in 2009. And that was 2008 that I wanted to go to Blue. So a lot of life changes in 2008 and 2009. So Blue is coming back though, y'all, because they took a hiatus as well. There were some things with their site that went on, and just everything. So Blue is coming back, and I plan on being there. Again, that is September 1st through the 4th of this year. I believe it's September 1st through the 4th. You can look them up, and I'll post a link below to Black Lesbians United Retreat. And I know some of you are going, but what does a retreat do? What does it mean? It depends on the retreat. There are quite a lot of retreats out there, and it's not, a yoga retreat. A lot of things what most people think these days when they think of retreat, they're thinking of yoga or even a silent retreat or something like that. No. Shades was much more of a work retreat, meaning you come there to work on yourself. It was a period of reflection, and all the workshops were designed on improvement of some way, shape, form, or fashion of yourself. Blue, to me, was more of a communal retreat. A lot of fun times. They had the white party, they had the pool party, there's shopping, there's hanging out, but there's also this, an underlying community aspect in there. They have some great team members who have built it up, and it's just a beautiful experience. So there are two different retreats, and people who've been to Blue and come to Shades and vice versa are like, oh, okay, they thought they would be the same. They're not. They're totally two different retreats, and they should be two different retreats, right? There should be more. And that's a word to everybody else out there who wants to do a retreat or wants to go to a retreat. Do it. Build it. They will come. They will come, because every day, as long as Shades has been inactive, there have been people asking me, when is the next retreat? I need this retreat. And the same, I'm sure, for Blue and the other Nia, which is, I don't think Nia occurs anymore. And it was a retreat that had been around for years. Both Nia and Blue have been around for decades, right? The problem, though, is that the founders are older. We need some new blood. I've offered to mentor people. I want someone in their 20s, 30s to come and say, I want to build a retreat and I need some assistance. And I will gladly sit down, because we need this. Women need a safe space to be women. We need a safe space to be Black or of color, whatever that may be. We need a safe space to vent, to speak, to seek sisterhood, to circle the wagons, if you will, right? To be vulnerable. And that's what some retreat spaces should give. Not all retreats are equal, because they're not all reaching for the same goal. Shades was reaching for that goal, right? It was empowerment, growth, and change. Those were the key words that I built Shades on, because those were the things that I was looking for. And I want to give that back again to the community, because I need it again, right? Most inventions are needs. Someone needed something, and they tried to figure out a way to tackle that need. And I feel like I need Shades again back in my life. But I've been feeling that for a couple of years. And I walked away, and I was like, we're going to do it. And then COVID happened. I was like, that's okay. Maybe it was time to let it go. Because, when you start something and you're a founder of something, sometimes it's hard to walk away, because it's your life. Fortunately for me, I had other things going on that Shades wasn't everything, but it was definitely a huge part. Maybe because of the friendships that I garnered from Shades. There are some women in my life that I've met at Shades who are, they my ace spoon cool. Not a lot, but enough. Some women I consider my sisters. I may not ever speak to them, right? But if they call, I'm going to answer. And that's what Shades builds. It's community. Sometimes deep, sometimes light, right? So it's coming back. All let's say is coming back, y'all. Be on the lookout. shadesretreat.org. Go to Blue, look them up, and join me in September. And again, I'm about 80% certain I'm going to Blue. I just gotta, I'm traveling this summer, so I'm trying to tighten it up, make sure I'm good to go. But I'm almost positive I'm going to be there, Jeanette. So be on the lookout for me at Blue. And you should come too. And then you should come to Shades next year. Make sure you got your passport in hand, though. I am Kat, y'all. And this is Black Girl Love, the podcast. We'll see you next week. Peace and love, y'all.